right, so we're going to start quarter three with some geometry topics. So 6.1 is the average rate of change. So we are going to calculate and interpret the average rate of change with a table, a function, different methods. So first, let's talk about what average rate of change is. So average rate of change is like the change in the y values divided by the change in the x values. That's what the little triangle means, is change. And so you might remember that this sounds familiar from secondary one. We used to call the average rate of change slope. So slope was when we had two ordered pairs and we took the difference of each and divided them. Okay? You'll notice the formula is still the same. The only difference is we're kind of working towards application terminology. So instead of calling this slope, and it doesn't have to be on a line, we can find the average rate of change through 2 points on any kind of a curve. And then this would also apply like as you're driving down the street, if you're moving, okay? So that's why we change the terminology, but it is the same idea as slope. So average rate of change, it can be calculated from any kind of media. So I just have three different types. So one a table, one a graph, and then one is a function. Okay? So on example one, if we want to compute the average rate of change, it says of the price of gas between 2007 and 2009. So I want to look from right here. And so we want to think of my years as kind of my x values, and this is my prices of gas as my y values. So we're going to do in 2009, it was 241 minus, and then we've got in 2007, it's 284. And then same idea, if I started with this and I subtracted, that means I need to go this way as well. So 2009 minus 2007. Okay, and this would be your work. So average rate of change, you can abbreviate as AROC, average rate of change. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and calculate that. So get a calculator, 2.41 minus 2.84. So let's go ahead, I'll just do purple, negative 0.43, and then 2009 minus 2007 is 2 years. And so if we divide that, we get negative 215. And since we're talking about money, I'm going to go ahead and round that. So negative 0.22. And so what we really found is on average, the price of gas from 2009 to 2007, it decreased 22 cents. That's really what we found. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and circle that as my answer, but that's really the meaning of it. Okay, so on average from, and you don't have to write the sentence out, the price of gas, since it's negative, we're going to interpret that, decreased 22 cents. Notice I don't say decreased negative 0.22 because the decrease is interpreting the negative, but your answer would just be negative 0.22. All right, so number two, we're going to do the average rate of change from a graph. Now, I don't know if you've seen interval notation, but these are actually x values. So this is the lowest x value, and then this is the highest x value. Okay, so it's saying from x equals negative 1. So we want to start here, which on our graph is right here. And then we want to end when x equals 2. And that's how you read interval notation, okay? So I'm going to stop here. What we want to do is we want to find that average rate of change. So since we're doing the average rate of change, if I would draw a line through those two endpoints, where we started and we ended, we're actually finding the slope of that line. That's what we're doing symbolically, okay? So we're going to do, it's y minus y over x minus x, all right? So this y value, when we start, is at, we can write the ordered pairs too if that would help you. So we have -1 up 4, so that's x, y. And then we have 2, 1. And that's my x2, y2. All right? And so as long as you subtract in the same order, it doesn't matter which point you start with. So I'm just going to go this way. So y minus y, so 4 minus 1. And then x minus x, so -1 minus 2. Okay, and you want to do these separately in a calculator. So 4 minus 1 is 3. -1 minus 2 is -3. And then if we divide these, we get -1. And that should make sense because our green line is negative slope from the left to the right. And so that's our average rate of change, which is actually the slope of that green line. Okay, and so that's how we read the interval notation. So we can use a graph. You could do it other ways, like you could just count. So you could say, well, how far up in the y direction do we go? So we went 1, 2, 3 down. And then how far over in the x direction do we go? We went 1, 2, 3 in the positive direction. So -3, see, divided by 3. So change in y over change in x. And we still get the same answer. So if you don't want to use the ordered pairs, you don't have to. You can just count rise over run to get your value. All right. Okay, the last example is going to kind of mix both methods. So we are going to be given a function, and it could be any function. And then remember, these are our x values for our interval. Okay. So I'm going to find the ordered pairs. So 2, we need to find the y value, and then here's 4. So remember, to find y, what we want to do is we want to substitute x value in the original equation. So if I want to plug in 2, that would be our notation. That's just function notation. We would get 2 squared. Everywhere I see an x, I'm going to put in a 2. So if I plug that in, I'd have 4 minus a half, and you can write a decimal. So 3.5. And then I'm going to plug in 4. So 4 squared minus 1 divided by 4. And once again, you can write the decimal. So 16 minus 1/4 is 15.75. There's a point there. So then we're going to do y minus y over x minus x. Remember, these are x values, and the second number is the y value. So you could subtract these in any order. I always like to do the biggest number first, so I'm just going to subtract going up. So I've got 15.75, that looks better, minus 3.5 divided by 4 minus 2. Now, if you're typing this all in together, you're going to want to use a calculator. So if you're doing them separately, that's fine. But if you want to do this all at one time, you do still follow order of operations, so the parentheses will help. I always like just to do them separately, but it really is a choice. As long as you get the same answer, we're fine. So our average rate of change is 12.25. And since we're not talking about money, I don't have to go to any number of decimal places, and I would just write as many as you can. 3 is not that many, so I just left them all. Okay, so on your student practice, I have given you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to choose from. So go ahead and in the yellow boxes, that's where you would put your answer. These, you can just do your work here. So keep in mind, you can download these as PDFs, you can print on them, but write a number and show your work. Okay, so on this one, I want you to try all 5 problems. All right. Okay, good luck. Let me know if you need